Welcome back for another deep dive.
Always a pleasure.
Today, we're going deep on a painting I bet you've seen 100 times, but maybe never really looked at.
Yeah.
Jan van Eyck's The Arnolfini Portrait.
Such an iconic work.
It's one of those paintings that's just full of symbolism and hidden details.
And it's more than just a pretty picture.
Yeah, you look at it and you're like, okay, who are these people?
Right.
What's going on here?
Exactly.
Luckily, we've got an expert here to help us break it all down.
Well, I'll do my best. It's a fascinating painting because it really gives us this incredible, detailed look into the lives of, like, wealthy merchants in 15th century Bruges.
It's like a time capsule almost.
Exactly. A time capsule.
Okay.
Yeah.
So setting the scene a little bit.
Okay.
We've got this couple dressed to the nines,
Yes.
standing in their home.
It seems like they're home.
There's, these everyday objects kind of scattered around.
Yes.
But the whole thing feels very staged.
Yes.
What's your initial impression when you look at this painting?
I think the first thing that strikes me is how deliberate every single object is placed.
Okay.
Van Eyck wasn't just showing off his skill, which, he was a master, but he was using these objects to kind of tell us a story about this couple.
Yeah.
About their status.
Their values, maybe?
Even their values.
Like, take, for example, those brick walls.
Yes.
Behind them, right?
Yes.
That's not just a random backdrop.
No, brick was actually a sign of wealth and permanence back then.
Interesting.
Having a brick house, instead of something like more simple, made of wood, meant you were here to stay.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of like how people today might show off, I don't know, a luxury car.
Right.
Or a designer handbag.
It's a subtle signal.
Yes. A very subtle signal, like you've made it.
Okay, so they're wealthy, but then there's this bed in what seems like a reception room.
Yeah.
Not exactly, interior design 101, is it?
Absolutely not. Beds were also a serious status symbol back then.
Okay.
Often, like, the most expensive piece of furniture someone owned. So by displaying it in the reception room, all decked out in, like, luxurious textiles, they're basically saying, look how well we're doing.
Okay, I'm starting to get it. They want everybody to know.
They really do.
All right, but then there are those oranges
Yeah.
just casually sitting on the windowsill. Oranges, they're healthy and all but a status symbol.
You have to remember, oranges weren't exactly growing like Bruges.
Right.
They had to be imported from somewhere else.
Okay.
Which meant that you needed connections and money to get your hands on them.
Ah, okay.
So it's like, I don't know, having that rare first edition gadget today.
Okay, yeah.
Everyone knows it costs a fortune, and it tells people something about you.
Okay, I'm seeing the wealth flex here for sure.
Definitely.
But there's also this odd feeling like the proportions in this painting are a little off.
Yes, you're spot on. Van Eyck was obviously a master of realism, but he wasn't afraid to play with perspective a little bit.
Okay.
For artistic effect.
Yeah.
So that chandelier, for instance, it's way too big for the room.
Yeah.
The bed itself is strangely short. And that convex mirror on the back wall, impossibly large.
Right.
It's almost like he's giving us a glimpse into their world through a distorted lens,
Yeah.
It makes you wonder what he's trying to emphasize, doesn't it?
It definitely makes me want to visit an optometrist. But speaking of distortions, what about the woman's pose?
Oh, yes.
So many people think she's pregnant, but I hear that's a fashion myth.
You're right. It's a very common misconception. She's not pregnant.
Okay.
She's simply holding up these, like, voluminous folds of her gown, which was the style at the time.
So fashion over function.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that even in a painting striving for realism, we're still seeing things through the filter of the artist's choices and the cultural norms of their era.
Right. Okay, and speaking of things we might be misinterpreting, that mirror is reflecting two more figures in the room.
Ah, yes, the mirror.
Is this Van Eyck, like, sneaking himself into the scene?
Well, that mirror is one of the most intriguing parts of the painting.
Yeah.
Above it, there's this inscription that says, Jan van Eyck was here, 1434, which is both his signature and, like, a potential clue, right? So it's possible that those figures are Van Eyck and an assistant either paying a visit or they're there to, capture the scene.
Like a selfie, almost.
Kind of. But Van Eyck leaves it deliberately ambiguous.
Okay.
Is this a casual drop-in?
Yeah.
Is it part of, like, some ceremony? Or is it something symbolic altogether?
Right.
We're just left to speculate.
He's just toying with us.
He really is.
Okay. Speaking of details, the textures in this painting are just incredible.
Oh, yes.
The way he captures, like, the light hitting different surfaces, it's like, wow.
It's incredible, isn't it? Van Eyck's mastery of oil paint is truly remarkable.
Yeah.
He used layers upon layers of these translucent glazes to build up that incredible depth and realism.
Hmm.
You can practically feel the sheen of the brass chandelier.
Yeah.
The softness of the fur trim on her gown. The rough texture of the brick. Even the individual hairs on that little dog.
Oh, yeah. We'll get to that dog in a minute. But it's like he's saying, don't just look at my painting.
Yeah.
Feel it.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
But this is where it gets even more interesting. We have modern technology that lets us peek beneath those layers of paint.
Yes.
It's like art history X-ray vision.
That's accurate.
So tell us about these infrared scans and what they've revealed about this painting.
So infrared reflectography has really been a game changer for art historians.
Mm-hmm.
It allows us to see what's called the underdrawing, which is that initial sketch beneath the paint.
Okay.
And it's revealed some really fascinating insights into Van Eyck's process.
Oh.
So we can see, not only was the composition meticulously planned, but
there were changes made along the way.
there were definitely changes.
So what did he change?
Oh, one of the most significant is the man's right hand. Originally, it was drawn with his palm facing outwards, but in the final painting, it's turned sideways.
Interesting. So now we have to ask, why would Van Eyck make such a change?
Right.
Was he trying to, I don't know, adjust the gesture or the symbolism?
Yeah.
Maybe just improve the composition?
Maybe.
Or maybe he just woke up one morning and was like, nope, not feeling that hand today.
Exactly.
We'll never know.
We don't know. That's the beauty of it. We can speculate about his artistic choices and intentions, but ultimately, it's up to each viewer to decide what they think.
And speaking of things we can speculate about, there's absolutely no underdrawing for the dog.
I know. Isn't that interesting?
So he just decided to add a puppy on a whim. Like, this masterpiece needs more cute factor.
It seems that way. It does add a touch of spontaneity to this incredibly detailed scene.
Yeah.
And shows that even a master like Van Eyck wasn't afraid to embrace a bit of whimsy.
Okay, I'm officially hooked. But before we get too puppy-obsessed, we've got a lot more to unpack with this painting. So let's dive into some of the symbolism and what it might tell us about the Arnolfinis and their world.
Sounds good to me.
Ready for part 2?
Let's do it.
It's amazing to think that even with all of our modern technology, the Arnolfini portrait still holds onto its secrets.
I know, right?
Like, we can analyze the brushstrokes, we can see the underpainting, but the true meaning, the emotions behind those faces, those are still up for debate.
It's like we're peeking into this private moment.
Yes.
Frozen in time, but we'll never fully know the whole story.
Right.
But we can try to piece it together,
Absolutely.
right? Through, like, the objects and the symbols that Van Eyck chose to include.
Exactly.
Like, for instance, that single candle burning in that elaborate chandelier. What's that all about?
Well, does it represent the presence of God?
Okay.
Does it represent the sanctity of their marriage vows?
Or even the fragility of life itself.
Right.
And then there's that adorable little dog.
Okay, yes, the dog. I was hoping we would get back to the dog. I mean, he's so cute, right?
He is.
But in a painting this detailed, I'm betting even the puppy has a symbolic role to play, right?
You're exactly right. Dogs were often symbols of fidelity and loyalty in art.
Okay.
So his presence here could be hinting at the couple's commitment to each other.
Right.
Or even their faithfulness to their religious beliefs.
Yeah, it's incredible how much meaning Van Eyck packed into this one scene.
I know, it's amazing.
It's like every brushstroke is telling a story.
It really is.
But I have to admit, I'm getting a little lost in the details here.
Okay.
What's the big picture?
Right.
What was Van Eyck trying to convey overall?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It seems like it.
There are so many interpretations.
Oh.
Some scholars believe it's a marriage portrait.
Okay.
Maybe even documenting the actual wedding ceremony.
Okay.
Others see it as a celebration of their wealth and piety. And some even suggest it could be a memorial.
A memorial.
Commemorating the wife who may have died in childbirth.
Wow, I had no idea there was so much debate.
There are a lot.
So is there a right answer?
Well, that's what makes art so fascinating.
Yeah.
There isn't necessarily one definitive interpretation.
Okay.
Van Eyck kind of gives us all the pieces of the puzzle.
Yeah.
But he invites us to put them together ourselves.
So it's like a choose-your-own-adventure for art history.
It really is.
Okay, I like that. But knowing what we know now about the symbolism, the historical context, the artist's choices, I mean, does it change how you see this painting?
Absolutely. The more we understand about Van Eyck's technique, the society you lived in, the deeper our appreciation becomes.
Okay.
It's like watching a film for the second time.
Okay.
You pick up on details you missed before, and the story becomes richer.
And it makes you want to keep looking.
Yeah.
Keep searching for clues and connections. It's like this painting is a bottomless well of secrets.
It is.
Yeah.
And that's why the Arnolfini Portrait continues to captivate us even centuries after it was painted.
Yeah.
It's a testament to the power of art, to challenge our perceptions, to make us think,
Right.
to keep us wondering.
Okay, my mind is officially blown. This deep dive has transformed how I see this painting.
Good.
It's not just a portrait anymore.
Right.
It's a window into this lost world full of mystery and artistic brilliance.
And remember, this is just one interpretation,
Right.
one layer of understanding.
Yeah.
There's always more to discover, more connections to make, more questions to ask.
Right.
That's what makes exploring art so rewarding.
So true. But before we wrap up, I have one burning question.
Okay, shoot.
If you could step into this painting, what would you ask the Arnolfini couple?
Oh, that's a great question. I think I would ask them
Yeah.
what they hoped people would see and feel when they looked at this portrait.
Oh, interesting.
Were they trying to convey a specific message or simply capture a moment in their lives?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
For me, I think I'd have to ask about that single burning candle in the chandelier.
Yeah,
It seems so significant, but the meaning remains so elusive.
it really does.
What about you, listener? If you could travel back in time and step into this painting, what would you ask the Arnolfini couple? Let that question simmer as we move to our final thoughts on this captivating artwork.
It really is amazing how a painting's meaning can change over time.
Yeah, it's wild.
As we learn more about the artists, the historical context, even the materials they used,
Yeah.
our understanding evolves.
The Arnolfini portrait is like a perfect example of that.
Oh, yeah,
It's like
great.
this painting is a living thing,
I like that.
constantly revealing new layers as we learn more.
And to think it all started with what appears to be this simple portrait.
Right.
Who knew it would become one of the most analyzed
Yeah.
and debated works of art in history?
Right. It really makes you wonder what other secrets are hidden in plain sight, just waiting for us to uncover them. But before we go too far down that rabbit hole,
Right.
what are some key takeaways you hope our listener is walking away with today?
Well, I hope they've gained a deeper appreciation for how complex and nuanced this painting really is.
Yeah.
It reminds us that art isn't just about aesthetics.
Yeah.
It's about storytelling, symbolism,
Uh-huh.
and reflecting the values and beliefs of a particular time and place.
It's also about looking closely, questioning our assumptions, and
Yeah.
sometimes embracing the mystery.
Absolutely, because some
Right.
of the most fascinating questions are the ones that don't have easy answers.
Exactly.
And who knows what future discoveries are waiting out there for us.
Yeah.
Maybe someday new technology will unlock even more secrets
Right.
hidden beneath the surface of the Arnolfini portrait.
The possibilities are endless.
They are.
Well, I think it's safe to say we've officially cracked the code on the Arnolfini portrait.
I think so.
Or at least we've uncovered a few more pieces of the puzzle, right?
We definitely have.
It's been a pleasure diving into this with you.
Likewise.
And to our listener, we hope you enjoyed this deep dive. We hope you're feeling inspired to look at art with fresh eyes and a curious mind. Until next time, keep diving deep.